Another day full of surprises and miracles. I hope you all are blessed today. Today, breathing this lovely fresh air, I would like to talk about the keys to be in the here and now, something that is not easy for many of us. So take a moment for you with me to be together in this short moment of space. The mind is always in the past or in the future. It cannot be in the present all the time, and it's very tricky for us. When you are in the present, the mind is no longer there because mind is the equivalent to thinking. How you can think about the present? You can think about the past. It has already become part of a memory, and the mind can work with it. You can think ahead. It's not something that is not here yet, and the mind can dream about it. The mind can do two things. It can do moving into the past where there is a plenty of room to move and the vast space is there all the time that you can go on and on. And it can move also into the future where there is also an infinite space in which you can imagine, dream without limits. But how is the mind going to work in the present? In the present, there is no room for the mind to make any movement. Just be. The present is just a dividing line, and there is nothing more. It separates the past from the future. You can be in the present, but you cannot think about it. To think, you need a space. Thoughts need a space. They are like objects. They are like this rather. They are material things, very subtle, but they are material. You can not think in the present because in the moment that you start to think, it's already past. And you see the sunrise and you say, what a beautiful sunrise. When you say it, it's already the past. When the sun is rising, there is not even enough space to say, how beautiful. Because when you say how beautiful, the experience has already become part of the past. The mind has already filled into a memory. But in the exact moment the sun rises, that exactly moment when the sun appears on the line, how can you think? You can be with the sun coming up, but you cannot think in that moment. There is not a space for you, not for thoughts, just enjoying and be. When there is no thoughts, who is the sun and who is the observer? The observer becomes the observed, and suddenly the borders disappear. Suddenly you find that you have entered the sun and the sun has entered you. Suddenly you are no longer two, there is only one. If you start thinking, you become two again. If you don't think, what is the duality? So you are here and now, and it is so beautiful to be in the here and now, but it's intense. That no thought can penetrate that intensity. In the present, it's not possible to think. It is not possible to dream, because the dream is to think with images of something that is not here yet, but both are material. When you are in the present without thinking, you are spiritual for the first time. A new dimension opens up, and the dimension of consciousness is coming to you. And this consciousness, it means being in the moment. So totally there is no movement into the past or into the future, and all movements stop. That does not mean that you remain static, because we are spiritual beings in constant movement, but it's a different movement with depth. There are two types of movements, and this is perhaps the meaning of a cross. that shows two movements across roads. One of the movements is linear. You move along a line from one thing to another, from one thought to another, from one dream to another, and you move in an horizontal line, and this is the movement of time. There is another movement which takes place in a totally different dimension, and this movement is not horizontal, it's vertical. When thought ceases, the new movement begins, and now you fall into the depths, and as you fell into an abyss. And people who meditate will get closer to their subconscious mind through sacred plants or other practices sooner or later come to this point. Then they are afraid because it seems to them that bottomless abyss has opened, and you would like to hold into all movements because it was something familiar, and this looks like a death. This is the meaning of these movements, but it's only that from one side, because it's as is seen from the other side is a reborn. It depends on the perspective. It's dying to be born, and it's to die in one dimension to be born into another. Just reflect all those words. If you move from one thought to another, you are still in the world of time, the horizontal line. If you move into the moment, no thoughts, you move into the eternity, that is the vertical line. You are not static, and there is nothing static in this world. Nothing can be static, because always a new movement arises all the time. On the horizontal line, you move by motivations, and you have achieved something that you want: to money, prestige, power, but you have to achieve something, and there is that motivation inside of you. But there is a movement with motivation that is unconscious, or movement without motivation. So you move because movement is pure joy, and you move because movement is life, and you move because life is energy and energy is movement. There is no goal. You are not trying to achieve anything. In fact, you are not going anywhere. You are not going. You are simply enjoying the energy. And there is not objective outside that movement itself. The whole world is moving. This existence moves within eternity, and the mind moves in time. The existence moves up to the depths and heights, and the mind moves back and forth, and the minds move horizontally, and you can move vertically, and this is just consciousness. This is just being. So enjoy, and the love that you would like to receive, live in the moment, incorporate your whole being into the moment, and don't let the past get into the way. Don't let the future either to get into the way. The past no longer exists, it's dead, and the future does not exist just yet. Be the love, don't forget about it.